Hi everyone, welcome to the History of New Media Art. I'm your instructor, Jackie Gleisner, and today, for our final lecture together, we're talking about artificial intelligence in contemporary art. We will also touch on a very new concept within the art world called NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, but more on this later. As a recap from the previous lecture, we looked at virtual reality and augmented reality. We viewed examples of some early works within each genre, as is the case with the two examples shown on this slide. We also looked at more current ways that artists are integrating these technologies into their practices to increase the sense of bewilderment, escape, or perhaps historical veracity. We're starting today's lecture by defining artificial intelligence. AI is a broad part of computer science that refers to knowledge that is gained from computers. From the algorithms that suggest consumer goods on your phone to the automated planes that we fly in these days, AI is becoming more and more integrated into our lives, and naturally artists are following suit by considering ways to adopt machine learning into their practices as well. But we've actually already seen several works that use AI in some capacity. That's because AI's roots in the art world coincide with the period of technological advancements during the 1960s. One early example that we've seen before is called Aaron. In 1973, computer engineer Harold Cohen created a paint program called Aaron. Aaron is a robotic machine designed to make large drawings on sheets of paper placed on the floor. Since the early 1970s, Cohen has continued to hone this early example of artificial intelligence. And as the program has become more advanced, Aaron has been able to make drawings that are more and more autonomous. More recently, Google released a computer vision program called Deep Dream that finds and enhances patterns in images, which had the effect of creating psychedelic images like this one shown here. In 2015, the software was developed to help scientists and engineers understand what a neural network is, but for a brief moment, Deep Dream was all the rage online. The basic premise of one branch of AI is that a person or an artist writes algorithms for a machine to learn or attempt to understand a specific aesthetic by analyzing thousands and thousands of images. Let's take a look at this portrait. It might seem a little wonky, and that wonkiness comes from the fact that this work was created by a computer program that generates new images based on patterns in a body of existing work. The computer viewed a data set of paintings of faces to learn how to generate this image. In this case, the artists who generated the work are known as the French collective called Obvious, and they didn't write the algorithms. They downloaded them, adjusted them, and then voila! But perhaps the most striking part of this story is the fact that this work sold for $432,000 at Christie's auction house in 2018. The winning bid was made over the phone, anonymously, adding to the mystery. Pierre Fautrel, one of the members of the group Obvious, responded to the heated criticism of this work by saying, "We are the people who decided to do this, who decided to print it on canvas, sign it as a mathematical formula, and put it in a gold frame." Naturally, people have strong opinions about whether or not these works made by computers are actually art, and if it is art, is it any good? But there are lots of other examples of this sort. For instance, ACAN had an exhibition at HG Contemporary in New York City in 2019. Click the link on this page to see more examples of their works. Next, we're going to look at the work of New York-based artist Stephanie Dinkins. Dinkins is an associate professor of art at Stony Brook University. And throughout her many projects, she analyzes the role that AI plays in contemporary society, paying close attention to its intersections with race, gender, and history. Today we're focusing on one of Dinkins' ongoing projects called Conversations with Bina. The project probes the potential for friendship between the artist and Bina 48, one of the world's most advanced social robots. Bina, which is short for Breakthrough Intelligence via Neural Architecture 48 exaflops per second, is an intelligent computer built by Terrasim Movement Foundation, a not-for-profit private operating foundation that was founded in 2004 based in Vermont. Their mission is to promote the ethical use of nanotechnology for human life extension. And they conduct educational programs and support scientific research and development in the areas of cryogenics, biotechnology, and cyber consciousness. The social robot Bina 48 is modeled after a real person named Bina Rothblatt and is said to be capable of independent thought and emotion. To get a sense of Bina's capabilities, please watch this video of the two Binas meeting and interacting, which is linked on this page. Next, watch how Stephanie Dinkins has been interacting with Bina 48. These interactions with Bina sometimes expose her shortcomings, but other times there's an eerie sense of life inside this robot. One aspect of the project that is important to Dinkins is exploring how robots and the algorithms that they are fed are subject to the racism, sexism, and historical fallacies of the people writing the code. The crux of this project is an attempt to understand and ask questions about this emerging technology. Dinkins has visited Bina 48 several times at her home in Vermont. She said, "Thus far we have discussed family, racism, faith, robot civil rights, loneliness, knowledge, and Bina 48's concern for her robot friends that are treated more like lab rats than people. Our conversations have been alternately entertaining, frustrating for both Robot and myself, laced with humor, surprising, philosophical, and at times absurd. Iterations of this project have been exhibited at the International Center for Photography in New York, among many other sites, and the Whitney Museum purchased Conversations with Bina Fragments 7, 6, 4, and 2 in 2019. Now that you've seen how a contemporary artist is working with artificial intelligence to consider its ethical implications, we're going to change topics to something that is happening right now in the art world. I'm talking about non-fungible tokens. According to an article in the New York Times, an NFT is an asset verified using blockchain technology in which a network of computers records transactions and gives buyers proof of authenticity and ownership. The current boom is mostly for digital assets, including images, GIFs, songs, or videos. Most importantly, NFTs make digital artworks unique and therefore sellable. That's what's most important about NFTs, is the fact that they are taking these digital assets and making them sellable, which has been an issue with digital artists in the past. How can you make a career out of making something that is free, reproducible, and widely available online? NFTs propose an answer, to the chagrin of many within the art world. In March of this year, this issue exploded when the artist Mike Winkelmann, known as Beeple, sold an NFT for over $69 million, the third highest price achieved by a living artist at Christie's. And on the right is a detail from Beeple's Every Days, the first 5,000 days, the collage of digital images that was minted as a non-fungible token or NFT. Now, this was not the first NFT to be sold at Christie's, but this particular one commanded an outrageous price. As this controversy is still unfolding, it's not clear how or if NFTs will become enmeshed in the art world going forward. Will this be standard practice, or will this sale be a blip? Also, note that NFTs are a technology that can authenticate the work, but remember, it's up to viewers, critics, and the artists themselves to deem something a work of art or weigh in on its quality. This cutting-edge technology brings us full circle to Marcel Duchamp's fountain, which is itself not a work of new media art, but it was instrumental in laying the foundation for questioning, expanding, and unmooring our conceptions of art. Or as Duchamp's friends Gianfranco Baruchello and Henry Martin wrote after his death, filling things with an atmosphere absolutely overcharged with meaning is what he was always up to doing, and that, after all, is what modern art is all about. You take just about anything at all and fill it with the meaning you can give it, all the entirely personal and entirely arbitrary meanings it can hold, all the mastery, all the enigma it can hold. That's one of the fundamental lessons Duchamp had to teach us. And it's a lesson we have explored over and over again in this course, as artists test out new and unknown vessels for holding meaning. Before we end our time together, let's take a moment to review how far we have come. We started this course by looking at works that set the tone for contemporary new media artists. We looked at how the Cubists integrated physical objects into their collages and their experiments in depicting the conflation of time and space. Picasso and Braque were invested in upending pictorial conventions that were hundreds of years old. We studied Muybridge's early experiments to capture the movement of animals and people. We also saw how photography developed from an unwieldy and impractical way to capture light on photosensitive paper into a thriving and digitized process. And we, of course, discussed Duchamp's radical redress of art, how placing an anonymous work of plumbing into an art exhibition challenged the definition of art forever. Then we moved into a digital space, focusing on video and its many applications for artists. We looked at how artists connect with several different art movements or schools of thoughts used video, and we touched on some of the many themes that artists have explored through their video works. From the private studio recordings of Bruce Nauman and Vito Acconci, we saw how video expanded to the massive multi-screen installations of Nam June Paik seen here. We looked at digital photography and how it has changed over time. We saw early examples of digitally altered photographs, and we viewed many works that presented a composite of different images or moments in a single image. We explored early computer art with works that were designed or created by computers. And next, we looked at how artists use the internet to corrupt notions of authorship and authority with web-based projects such as Brandon. We focused on the idea of interactivity with a wide range of examples that move, blink, or engage with viewers in some way. And most recently, we saw how this idea of interactivity has expanded into heightened states of immersion through VR and AR technologies. Earlier today, we saw examples of artificial intelligence, and we talked about NFTs, emphasizing how both trends have commanded record-breaking prices at sales at Christie's auction houses in the last few years. We've learned that new media art encompasses video, animation, computer art, interactive art, internet art, digitally altered photography, and much, much more. Because technology is changing and developing so rapidly, the nature and form of art are also changing radically, making new media arts difficult to describe and understand at times. And to paint with a very broad brush, the general arc of this course shows a trend towards greater viewer participation, from interactive sculptures to Fluxus videos in the 1960s, and finally, contemporary explorations of VR and AR. New experiences of art can be spaceless, objectless, timeless, and imageless. For some, this has meant the death of art as it was known, but for others, this is an opportunity for innovation. In reality, what we know of art has died and been resurrected many times. The only thing that is certain is that the digital future is unknown. What will new media be at the end of this century? And how will the arts respond to these new forms of technology? Thank you for being a part of this course. I hope this course has helped expand what you know and how you think about contemporary art. Take care.